This is Steve from Boxing UK with the one and only Eddie Hearn. 1:45 in the morning.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eddie.
No problem, no problem.
Good to be back in the UK this year.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed the show tonight. I had a bit of everything. Loads of talking points. Great to see Kell Brook back. A little bit rusty, as you'd expect after 14 months, but I thought he boxed well. Still very spiteful. Good win against a very game opponent. Thought Kid Galahad boxed really well. Morero's a very good fighter. Now mandatory again for the IBF. Terri Harper, what an atmosphere. I mean, for a women's fight, incredible. And what a performance. She's 23 years of age, so much to come. Dave Allen with a good win against Dorian Dart. I thought Martin Ward boxed really well. Yeah. Really well. I think he's ready for a world title fight now. John Doherty's a beast. Really enjoyed the Tomlinson-Burt fight as well. Dante Dixon looked really good against a tough opponent, and good win by Callum Beardo, and I thought the show had everything.
It did. Did you see enough in Kell, enough flashes to think that he's back, or that there's enough there to say that he's going to improve moving forward?
I think there's enough there to tell you that he's got plenty left and he's still a force. I think it's impossible to look $1 million after being out for 14 months. And he was nervous tonight. You know, I could tell that when we were walking backstage, and I could tell that he might have been a little bit unsure as how good he would be. And I think he surprised a few people in the camp of how good he was, because I think some people were expecting it to be a little bit, rusty throughout. And I think there's plenty left for him. He wants a shot at a world title. Obviously, the Liam Smith fight's there as well. It's a very good domestic fight. So we'll work on that over the next few weeks.
Yeah, everyone's asked you what's next, and obviously there's one fight that's not going to happen, is it? Amir Khan's that's never going to happen.
No, I mean, unless we get a phone call this week, But I just wonder with Amir, at what point do you just go, do you know what? Let's just do it. But he sort of holds on to these. You always hear meetings out in the Middle East. Amir Khan was calling the other day, and he actually thinks that this is going to materialise. So, but it's, I don't ever rule out that he just calls up and says, let's do it. But
we spoke to him at the Ultimate Boxer in December, so it's only a few weeks ago, and we asked what his plans were, and he said 2 fights in 2020, Manny Pacquiao and the Kell Brook fight if it's there.
The Manny Pacquiao fight, okay.
That's what I mean, he told us.
I know. Well, listen, I hope he gets it, but how long have we been talking about that fight? 5 years?
Might be sponsored by Saga, is it?
Yes, I don't know. Look, I hope he gets a Manny Pacquiao fight, but not what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Your thoughts on Dave Allen? I think it was an achievement for him just to get back in the ring.
I'm just so pleased to see him back in the ring and smiling. He told me that he was going to move around and dance tonight, and I was like, what? And he did it for 2 rounds. And then after 2 rounds, I said, enough. Let's put your shots together, and he did it. Good knockout. Good to see him get the win, and we'll see what 2020 brings for him.
Would you encourage him to stay at that level? Because obviously,
no, he's got to go up a level from that. I mean, Dorian Dart is a great sort of gatekeeper for young heavyweights coming through. But Dave's got to be fighting for British titles. That should free up later in the year. I still think he should have another 2 or 3 fights, just stepping the level up, just get the confidence back. He's still learning. He doesn't know that much. He takes all these other kids under his wing, like he's Angelo Dundee. But Dave's got plenty to learn himself.
Are you going to take Danny Morel off him?
I don't know what's happening. Apparently he's on one of our shows. I don't know. I don't even get told. But listen, Dave's a great character, great person to have around. And while he's happy, we're happy as well.
Terri Harper and women's boxing in general, like as you alluded to earlier, that atmosphere there tonight, does that sort of solidify that women's boxing's back properly?
Katie Taylor's the gatekeeper. She's been incredible. And I think that she's opened the doors for people like Terri Harper. But Terri Harper's built her own fan base. Now, that atmosphere tonight was better than most main event atmospheres, and she boxed really well. She's only 23. Eva Wallstrom's an established world champion. But I just like Terri Harper. I think she's such a nice girl, And women's boxing now, obviously Katie, and I'm trying to land and finalise a world title fight for Savannah Marshall on April the 4th in Newcastle, which will be a big night for her as well. And sometimes the pleasing stuff about women's boxing is they're all willing to fight each other and jump in these fights. They're a lot easier to make than the men's fights. It's quite refreshing.
Savannah Marshall, you mentioned.
Yeah.
Newcastle. Might that be against Hannah Rankin? I know she's fighting tonight.
It's not against Hannah Rankin. No, it's for a world title. So it'll be against a champion. And it's quite a bold move, but we're trying to finalise that, and hope we've got a press conference on Tuesday in Newcastle. So
we'll see you there.
Yeah, we'll do.
Lewis Ritson. I'm sort of pushing me luck at you because the press conference is Tuesday. What kind of opponent are we expecting for Lewis? A step up from Robbie Davis Jr.?
Yeah, I mean, step up in terms of achievements. This guy's a former world champion, established name, very, he's a quality fighter. So I expect it to be a very tough fight for Lewis. I think it's tough style-wise as well. But he has to take that kind of fight. He beat Robbie Davis, and he's on the verge of a world title fight, so he's got to be coming up and having these big kind of fights.
Can I ask one question about Lewis? We interviewed him last week. Obviously, I get on well with Lewis. He told me that he'd heard a rumour that you put a big bet on Robbie Davis Jr.
I saw the headline on that. Number one, I would never bet on an opponent, especially an opponent to one of my other guys as well. Two, I think that fight was a complete 50-50 fight. So the answer is absolutely not in a million years. Sorry, Lewis. I wonder whether he's being tongue-in-cheek, but definitely not.
All right, thanks for that, Eddie. Two more. Obviously, everybody's talking to you about Wilder Fury 2 and Dubois Joyce. Just your thoughts on those?
I think that Fury's got to just keep it boring. He's got to just jig around and try and win round after round. And Wilder's got to try and close the distance and try and land the bomb. Dubois Joyce, I see Dubois winning comfortably. I think Joyce just too slow, and I know that he's got a great engine, but he has no hand speed. His movement's slow. Dubois is fast. He's probably a little bit reckless and fearless, and I think he takes him out.
Last one, YouTuber boxing. Your personal thoughts on all the finance side of it and all the rest of it, but I'll be honest, that fight last week was awful. And you are split an opinion between boxing fans who say it's a bit of fun and it's good for the sport, and those that absolutely despise it. What's your personal thoughts? Can you separate your personal thoughts?
It's quite tricky. I mean, you can't. I keep saying to people in interviews, don't take it too seriously. It's a 6-rounder. Like, you get very offended for a 6-rounder. Like, I could put a 6-rounder on earlier in the card. Could be an Olympian against a journeyman from Buenos Aires, and it could be shit as well. But it just so happened that was 2 YouTubers, and it weren't great. So the problem is the numbers are so big, the broadcasters are almost insistent upon this being included. The bigger question is, do we have standalone once a year YouTube nights? I didn't want to do that because I don't really want to do white collar boxing. I'm trying to incorporate it into the professional sport, make them follow the code, make them do all the things that other fighters should do. Unfortunately, Jake Paul can really fight, and Aneson Gibb can't, right? As I said to him the next day. He said, I'm really disappointed, I had a great camp. I said, no, you're not very good. I said, understand, the other kid can fight, you're shit, right? So that's just life. So, but I keep saying to people, they ain't fighters, but they're going to get in there, he froze completely. I'm sure he did have a good camp. I'm sure he did do tens of rounds of sparring and have a nutritionist and all this bollocks, but he just froze because they're not fighters. It's like you or me going into the ring in front of a huge global audience and a huge crowd. My arsehole will be going all over the place.
I'll take you on for a purse, Eddie.
You'll get smashed to pieces, right? But it's like, so I understand what they're saying, and we do have to look at it and say, is this standalone? But all I can tell you is there was 10 times the audience watching that Sky Sports show that would have normally been watching that at 4:45, right? So, but don't say like people, yeah, but you're showing them that YouTube boxing. Forget that. No, they're watching Tevin Farmer, Jojo Diaz. They're watching MJ against Danny Roman. So you can't say that's not good for the fighters, the pro fighters, right? And the pro fighters can learn a lot from these people. Definitely not in the ring, but out of the ring. Because you know what? There's too many people in boxing who no one has a fucking clue who they are, right? Yeah. They have no profile, they don't put any bums on seats, no one's tuning in to watch them. I'm talking about established world champions who are moaning about this. Yet you bring a new audience to the sport, you bring hundreds of thousands, millions of viewers, and they start moaning about a 6-rounder. But I understand the comments, and we're taking it on board, and we'll see where we go with it, and once again, I'll make all the decisions. Good man. Eddie, we'll speak about Josh Kelly on Tuesday. Will do,
can't wait. It's great to have you back.
Cheers, mate.